Experience over age is the mentality of the Lakers as they stack their roster for the upcoming campaign. Their biggest addition, 32-year-old Russell Westbrook. And then there's also 37-year-old Carmelo Anthony, who, by the way, is the same age as LeBron. AD, the final member of the newly founded Big Three, is 28. So this brings the age average down a bit, but listen to this, gentlemen. Once these moves become official, the Lakers will have 13 players on their roster, 8 of whom are age 32 or older. The average age of the players projected to be on their roster, nearly 33 years old, putting LA on track to have the oldest team in NBA history. And I just mentioned in the bottom, right now, Staples Center is being called the old folks' home. So, Sam, are the Lakers just too old?
I think they are. I really do. And it's not just because of age, because I think that with age comes experience. And I respect age. Max, as you know, I talked about LeBron and his experience. But I'm more concerned about the injuries. Like, that's where my issues come. One of your youngest superstars, AD, he's 28 years old, but he's been injury prone. He was out for 30 games last year. LeBron James, who's 36 years old, who's went to championship after championship after championship, he missed 26 last year. And then 2 years before, he missed 17 games in a row before we had to sit out the rest of the season. Carmelo Anthony, who we're glad that the Lakers fans are ecstatic right now. You got your shooter. He's 37. And so I'm not necessarily concerned about the age when it comes to experience. I'm more concerned about health. I'm high on the Lakers, but can they stay healthy? Max, you talk all the time about these hypothetical situations, assuming everybody in the world is healthy. We can't assume that. And so that's why you got to look at the age of these players and say, you know what? I think they're all talented. Russell Westbrook, 32 years old, super talented. But man, when you start getting older, the wear and tear on your body, we saw it this year with the shortened off season. People get injured. And so that's where my concerns come with this LA Lakers team. Are they talented? Yes. Are they old? I believe they're old, and that you're going to see it when it comes with some of the injuries that you're going to see this year.
That's right. You know, you can't deny that with age comes injury, although AD's always been injury prone. I don't know if his age has anything to do with it, and he's not old. He's in his prime, ostensibly. And Westbrook's been remarkably healthy, knock wood. And every year he's with new teammates on a new team. And in the first half, we're like, well, that's it. Age has caught up. And in the second half, we go, damn, this dude is like an MVP. So I expect that to continue. LeBron, 2 of the last 3 years, a normal Iron Man type guy has missed large chunks, and they've missed the playoffs and not advanced in the playoffs because of it, right? And he couldn't, well, they missed AD, but also LeBron wasn't at 100%. That's legitimate. But if you need to list the reasons the Lakers may not win other than a healthy Nets team, I wouldn't say age is number one. The number one issue is the shooting. Because you have 3 players who are going to get the majority of the minutes, right? You have 48 minutes at each position, 5 positions, and you're going to get a huge chunk of those minutes at 3 positions, often playing on the floor at the same time, with a guy in Westbrook who doesn't shoot it well, a guy in LeBron James who shoots it average for his position, you'd say, in today's NBA, and a guy in AD who you might say the same. They don't have enough shooting there. The best shooter on the team in the starting lineup is Wayne Ellington. Unless you start Gasol, who at times, given the matchup, was a little unplayable in these playoffs. Dwight Howard's not a shooter, obviously. They need shooting. They picked up Trevor Ariza, Monk. They picked up some guys, but they need shooting. And if those guys shoot it well, in fact, Talen Horton-Tucker is their most valuable kind of commodity going forward. The guy with the most room for improvement who you believe can fulfill excellent potential. And he's not a shooter. So they really, he might wind up this year being the 4th best guy on the team, and he doesn't shoot it. So age, yes, but if you're checking off age as the number one concern, I think you're overlooking the actual number one concern on this team.
Well, that's why you go and you add Carmelo, right? You add Carmelo. We know that Russell Westbrook drives. We know that LeBron at his best is going downhill. But you add a guy like Carmelo who can maybe expand the floor a little bit. And I understand shooting is still an issue, but I think LA is actually addressing the issue. Let's add Carmelo, THT, let's see what he can do. But we're making moves in the right direction. I think that, Milwaukee Bucks, they won the NBA championship this year. Their shooting wasn't excellent, and they found a way to win. Yes, you can talk about injuries, right? Injuries happen. But I think that Carmelo coming into this lineup with LeBron, with AD, who could take the last shot and help you win a game, with Russell Westbrook, I think is a formidable matchup. But age, in my opinion, is the biggest issue because, once again, it goes back to not only are you able to make the play, but are you available, right? Availability over ability. Yes, you could have the best shooters. If they're not available to shoot, it don't matter.
Was once a great scorer and is still an effective one. He's bad defensively, but he is not like a catch and shoot kind of guy. Like one of the reasons it looked like he was out of the league for a second, and I was fooled into thinking it, is because the landscape shifted under his feet, and he was neither a 3 nor D guy. He could hit a 3, but he's like on ball, monopolizing it, running an offense, and so he didn't do any special thing well enough, people thought, to be a valuable role player. It turns out, actually, but he can still do everything well enough on offense to contribute. But that's not what I mean by he's not a catch-and-shoot 3 guy, which it's probably a pretty good idea to put on the floor with LeBron James and Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. Maybe not just another ball-dominant guy, right? They have issues in terms of fit and in terms of shooting, I think, that supersede age. I still like him out of the West. I said all that. I still like him out of the West.
Okay, well, the average age of the last 10 championship teams is 28.4. The Lakers, at this point, they're about 5 years above that. The last team to win a championship that was above the age of 30 as an average.
Bulls?
No, the Miami Heat, 2012, 2013, common denominator, LeBron James. See how it goes. All right, guys, I got 3 words for you. Hustle, loyalty, respect. Those sound familiar? Because LeBron James finally getting his wish, and that is to play a season with his boy, Carmelo Anthony. Melo, now a Laker, signing a 1-year deal yesterday in the franchise's quest for gold. Melo, in his 13 career playoff appearances, has only reached the conference finals once and has yet to play in the NBA Finals. Now, the Lakers added 8 free agents to their roster in less than 2 days, including future Hall of Famers Carmelo Anthony and also Dwight Howard. Pairing Anthony with LeBron James means the Lakers now have 2 of the top 10 scorers in NBA history. And guys, look, it's First Take. We love to speculate early, and now that we have a big 3 on both coasts, we have Kyrie, KD, and Harden for the Nets, and then also LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook on the Lakers, along with several other key additions in LA. I got to ask you, Max, should the Lakers be favorites over the Nets to win the championship next year?
No, they shouldn't. They have a legitimate answer now. They have 3 different kinds of cats, but they shouldn't be favored to beat the Nets. Let's not forget that the Nets were humiliating the eventual champions. The Bucks were getting crushed. Harden wasn't playing. James Harden, game for game, was the best player in the NBA in the regular season this year, playing the best basketball of a career that's included MVPs, right? And he was better than ever. Didn't play. And the Lakers were wiping the floor. Sorry, the Nets were wiping the floor with the Bucks. What if they had all 3 guys? See, the thing about the Lakers' big 3 that they just put together the surrounding cast, right? The thing about the Lakers' big 3 is, at best, they're average shooters for their position. LeBron's about an average shooter for his position. Maybe AD is also. Westbrook is not, right? The Nets, big 3. I want you to listen to this closely, Sam. See if you can contradict what I'm saying here. See if you detect any lies, okay?
I'm already detecting lies, Mac.
Well,
go ahead.
You'll have a chance to tell me all about it. The Nets' big 3, each guy at his position, is the best overall scorer at his size in NBA history. All 3 guys can score in more ways at a higher level than anyone who ever lived at their size. All 3 guys. It's too much shooting against a team that doesn't have enough. Lakers did great in the offseason, not enough to take over the number 1 slot preseason from the Nets.
2 of the top 10 scorers in NBA history now, though.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony once upon a time. And by the way, Carmelo was useful. But, Sam, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the 3 best scorers at their size who ever lived, and they all still got it. Lakers need a little more.
Yeah, Max, I hear what you're saying, but I'm detecting lies because, yes, they may have the 3 best scorers at their size. And, yes, Harden, as you mentioned, game for game may have had the best season of his career. But remember, James Harden wasn't healthy the whole season. Remember, James Harden in the playoffs, oftentimes his production decreases. Let's not forget that when you bring superstars together, it doesn't always work. I'm reminded of my chemistry class, right? In chemistry, we all took chemistry. You put a bunch of elements together and they make something new. And sometimes these elements will make an amazing new kind of creation. And other times it'll blow up in your face. And I think what we're seeing with Brooklyn is that we're not seeing all these pieces come together to make something greater. You see James Harden, who's super talented. You see KD, super talented. You see Kyrie, super talented. But when they play together, they don't always mesh. But when I go to the Lakers and I go to LeBron James, right? LeBron James in the last 11 years has been to every single final when he's been healthy. Obviously, 2019 wasn't healthy. They didn't go. Obviously, last year, LeBron wasn't healthy. They didn't go. So it's more than just about the talent you have when it comes to scoring. It's also about what kind of leader are you. If I'm picking a team, Max, you can look at me as however you want to look at me. If I'm picking a team, I'm picking a LeBron James-led team every single day of the week.
Get to the finals. Sam, we're assuming they're both in the finals. He doesn't always win the finals, LeBron. He's not Michael Jordan.
I'm believing that they're winning the finals. I'm picking LeBron and Russ. And we all said, okay, well, they got Russ. They need spacing. They need a shooter. All of a sudden, they get Carmelo. They get spacing. They get a shooter. I'm taking a LeBron James-led team to win the finals more than I am against KD or Kyrie or James Harden. Yes, James Harden has great stats during the regular season. We talk about that. But James Harden's stats always drop off during the postseason.
I agree with that.
Let that be known. Let that be known. And so let's not talk as if put these big three together and all of a sudden you're going to see greatness. We're not always going to see greatness. Look what
Harden
happened last
doesn't
year.
need to score 50 points a game for them to win on this team. We saw it in the regular season. He could score 23 points and have 15 assists and get everyone involved. Sam, what year are you making this argument in? You're talking about Carmelo Anthony and stuff from 10 years ago, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about you're a day late and a dollar short with this one. The time to make that argument about the Nets was last year before you saw them on the court together, albeit it was brief when they played together. But what they showed is any two of those guys is better than everybody else. Any two of those guys. Again, I want to just say this again. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, neither one was as good as James Harden in the regular season last year. Think about that. Now, I agree that he falls off in the playoffs, but when you're falling off from the top of Mount Everest, you're still above most guys' heads, right? Now, without Harden, who was the glue, who was the facilitator, who's the guy who really made it work as a team, they wiped the floor with the eventual champion Milwaukee Bucks. It was embarrassing. And no one in the world believes the Bucks beat that team if they don't get hurt, right? They almost beat them and they did get hurt. Just with KD. Just with KD, Sam. If this wasn't on the line, they win.
Max, check me out. You're talking about Brooklyn, and if Brooklyn stays healthy, they win. Everyone was talking about LeBron and the Lakers. If they stay healthy, they would have won. They would have been in the finals. We all know that. So a healthy LeBron, a healthy AD. Mind you, LeBron missed 26 games last year. LeBron was limping into the playoffs. AD got hurt. Remember, let's not forget the team that went to the NBA Finals, the Phoenix Suns. LeBron and his Lakers, they were up 2-1 against the Suns. They were up 2-1. They were also up at halftime, and then AD gets hurt. And then all of a sudden the series changes. And so, yes, a healthy Brooklyn team is talented, but a healthy Lakers team, let's not forget, you said a dollar short and a day late. Last year, we were all talking about the Lakers going to and winning an NBA championship.
No, not winning. Healthy. Stop right there. No. Let me tell you something. I was with you with the Nets to begin with, Sam. I was like, hold up. Let's see if this works with Kyrie and Harden in the backcourt, right? This is not like Devin Booker and Chris Paul. You know, this is gonna look good. Let's see. I have to say, when AD was out, the two of them were the best team in the league by themselves. Now you're forgetting something else. Like, they already showed they could do it, and they were going to beat the Lakers. No one was going to take them, including the Lakers, 7 games if the Nets were healthy. You're forgetting something else. They added Blake Griffin, who we all thought was done. He hadn't dunked in a year and a half. And then he posterized Giannis. Now, Sam, what does that mean, that he posterized Giannis? Blake Griffin's game was never, he's going to kill you from the outside, dazzle you with footwork. If that dude is posterizing Giannis, that means he physically got it. That team, the number 4.
So Max, what happened? What happened? Why isn't Brooklyn? Why doesn't Brooklyn have a ring right now? Why aren't they doing a parade? Why aren't we crowning them champions? What happened? What happened?
What happened was James Harden had to force himself out of Houston to get to Brooklyn. In order to do that, he had to fall out of shape. He showed up fat and out of shape. Still rolled out of bed looking like a hot mess and was a walking 30-point triple-double in Brooklyn in wins against the best teams in the West. Don't let this dude have an offseason to get in shape now.
Bingo. So you said he had so you're talking about James Harden as a leader. You called James Harden the glue guy for that team. If you're picking James Harden as the glue for your team, as the leader for your team, as the guy who's going to win you an NBA championship, I'm going to beat you every day of the week when I have LeBron on my team. James Harden's not a glue guy. You're talking about this guy getting out of shape. You're talking about this guy not staying healthy. Look at LeBron. Look at Steph Curry. Look at these guys who invest hundreds of millions of dollars in their bodies. What is James Harden doing right now? You think he's investing hundreds of millions of dollars in his body, or you see him in Paris partying? I'm just saying, if I'm picking a leader to help me win an NBA championship, I am going with LeBron James. Just base it off of history.
His weapons, I just want to remind you, James Harden by himself, right? Because Chris Paul got hurt, faced the Warriors team that no one had a chance against. KD, Clay, Steph, Dre, Iggy. No one had a shot. He was by himself. And he and his team had the worst shooting night in the history of the NBA, 0 for 27 at one point.